All right, everybody. This is our 49th podcast live here from Regina. We do this once a year. This is our second annual live podcast. We have the couple of the regulars, myself and Tim Wiseman. We have Adam Weber. Carrie's working the stuff in behind, and we have Jonathan Cowan as our first guest. We might have a few people rotating in and out. Welcome, everybody.
Hey, welcome.
Hello, John.
Yeah. So we're here in Regina. We have a couple of questions here right away. Nothing major, but from Valentino or Jason Scaletta. Two questions. One, what's your guys' ball of choice for the weekend?
Obviously, mine's going to be Blue Star Lines. Don't go home without them.
I got a soft roll ballistics. It's probably gonna be the go-to. Either that or some old Comets.
Some old blue Olympic balls.
Yeah.
3 pounds, 7 ounces.
All right, so barely legal.
Yeah.
I'll probably be throwing my Cyclones, my old school Cyclones. They worked really well for me last year here. And I brought my Comanches too, and a set of Manhattans. So kind of all over the place for bowling balls. His second question was, any surprises to make the cut this year?
I'll answer it once.
Yeah, I wonder what they're meaning really by surprises.
Like
Is it going to be a crazy cut? Is it going to be a low cut? Is it going to be a wonder, right? So
well, we could do that. I mean, we can take a guess on what the cut's going to be.
I definitely think the cut's going to be lower than what everybody else is thinking.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I've heard a lot of 22 and a quarter, 22 and a half. So I actually think it's going to be sub 2200, and these shifts are going to be crazy long. I just don't think people are going to be able to get in a groove. And knowing that you must get to that 2200 number, man, those last games are real tough to play.
I just think the amount of people you have here. You have some really good players.
Mm-hmm.
You have 160, 170 really good players that are playing. I think the caliber. I don't know. I still think it's gonna be 2200. I still think it'd be 2200. Maybe, like I said, 22. What does it say? 2219 or 2215 or something like that. 2211. I don't know.
It's literally last
Say all
week.
the numbers, you can't be wrong.
If I say all of them, then I can't be wrong.
Wolfson shoot.
Yeah, well, that's what I said.
100.
I said we're one above Wolfson.
I got him started, man.
I don't know. I think it's still be over 2200. I just maybe not a whole lot like more on what you think, Adam. I just think the quality of players out there really makes a big difference.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be over 2200 as well. Last year, the cut was 2170 something, and that was the first time in 3 years that it was under 2200. And this year we're adding in 60 entries. So
I'm just not sure the scoring at the center has really improved since
well,
last year.
I mean, last Monday we had 2 perfect game chances going into 10.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's only Joel though, right? So
Joel and Jeff.
yeah, who cares about
Those
those
are the first 2 posts I've seen pretty much all year from Golden Mile, which I find odd as well.
But you also understand though, they had a bunch of people jump ship to Glencairn to play on their Wednesday night league, right? So their Monday night scratch league is only 8 teams now,
Okay.
right? So it's significantly less than it used to be, right? So
Do you know why they moved?
I think it's just because I don't know. I think just the league. I think they want it's a different thing altogether.
No idea.
I think it's a 4-player team. It's a different kind of league altogether. I think that's the reason why. I don't think it has anything to do with the Super League.
What do you think, John?
I don't know. It's the first time out here at the Mile, so I don't really know what to expect. Obviously, I've been kind of told anything under 2250, don't feel safe.
Oh, I think
That's fair.
And that's kind of, it could jump anywhere from 22 to 22 and a half. There's a ton more entries than last year. But I'm
more
going
confidence in Timmins.
more confidence than Timmins. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, how Timmins go?
Like, seriously.
Timmins was tough.
Yeah.
Definitely got roasted because how hard I throw.
Well, I heard you played actually well, just couldn't score.
Yeah, I felt like I played a lot better than 19 plus whatever I got. I don't even know. Go throw anytime we get on a double, get ready to run out a shot and turn to aces, split. Like, it was just mind-boggling. And I'm apparently the only guy who can't spare them up there.
Yeah, and second best Cowan.
That's fair.
But
He
how
really
early
was
is
Cowan. He won't tell you.
Stats don't
I might be second best Cowan, but
It's okay.
I got him crushed when it
I'm the
comes to
second
making
best
Cowan.
Wiseman. We're okay.
I got him crushed when it comes to making Cowan.
But your brother doesn't throw nearly as hard as
No.
you.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right, and it's a completely different shot.
He
He
would fall
obviously,
apart if he tried.
but he obviously played very well.
Yeah, he got hot. He got hot for sure. He looked pretty abysmal the first shift.
Yeah.
It was hard to watch.
But I think we've all been there.
Oh yeah,
For sure.
just like you could see it on his face. He was extremely frustrated. And it was like, you drove 8 hours for this.
Yeah.
And then I went home saying, you drove 8 hours for this. I guess that was karma.
But it's a great event, though, right?
Oh, it's an amazing event. Regardless of how you play, you always have a
Alan
good time.
Matt does always a great job.
What do they have for entries?
140-ish.
Were they
Ballpark
full?
range. I think there was a couple that backed out just because of like double shifting. But
Yeah.
they got pretty close to full.
Amazing.
It's awesome.
I heard the weekenders are starting on Wednesday again.
Right away.
Already missed the first two then.
Already accepting entries for next week.
Yeah, exactly. Probably already full.
You ran the first weekender while the playdowns happened. Absolute genius strategy.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, you can see the hard work that they put in. Like,
Yes.
it's just
I-
rank out.
Yeah, and I'm on the other side.
It's always definitely front of mind all the time.
Yeah.
So it's that's super important, especially when people are having to travel long distances to go to tournaments. Being front of mind is for a tournament is super important. That's for sure. So, I'm guessing what Jason was suggesting was
Dark horse.
a dark horse to make the cut this year. Maybe somebody who hasn't made the cut in Regina before.
The obvious on everybody's mind is going to be Rob Wilson. Right? Is he actually going to crack through?
That wasn't my
But-
first
but,
one.
It's not mine either. I'm trying to think who.
I'm gonna say Rylan Willier. It's his first year out. He's played well in Red Deer and other events. He's a young kid from our YBC program who's phenomenal. Throws the ball really hard, super confident. I think that kid could definitely play.
I honestly haven't really looked at the list. I can't really say, but if I did choose somebody, it'd be from somebody from my fantasy team, like Dwayne Gilardi or Brian Askin. So if you're listening, I expect some big money out of you guys.
I don't really have a spot to chime in. I don't know too much about the people who are out here.
Say yourself.
Who's cuts. I'd like to
say yourself.
I'd like to not think that I'd be surprised if I made the cut. But I guess maybe some people it would be just
Dark horse to win. Yeah, maybe.
dark horse to win. Sure.
Brand new bowler.
Sure. Everybody starts at 0, right?
I'm going to jump on Tim's bandwagon for my fantasy team too, and a guy who's actually been on fire recently in league. I'm actually going to pick Derek Gall. So I think you got a weekend in you. It's been a long time since you've done it.
Huge joke. I'm learning from Tim. Always I'm a late bowler.
Yeah, he shot back-to-back 9.
The
So
thing is, Derek just needs to get into the finals on Sunday.
Yeah.
He's great as a match play bowler.
anything more than 12 games, it's over. Like it's coasting out.
Here's 13.
No, but Derek's bound to make one sooner or later. Right? He has the potential.
And Derek is super analytical and understands his game very well, but he needs to get out of his head too.
Speaking of somebody else who might be on this podcast who's doing the same thing, what about Kerry Kreitz?
He's not on the podcast. He's sitting over there hiding from everybody.
Trust me, he's here,
No,
and he's going to hear everything we say.
you only said it because he's here.
I just don't consider him a dark horse.
No.
Fair.
I
Three-time
don't consider him a dark horse.
3-time champ.
Oh, that's fair.
On tour. Right? Yeah, 1-time Regina champ.
Used to could.
He's due.
Yeah.
He's due.
Yeah.
He has been saying lately back when he was good, and the last time I heard him say that, he was unreal. So we'll see what happens. What other questions do we get? We have a question of boxers or briefs. I'm a boxer brief guy, in case anybody's wondering. What cuts down on chafage?
200, baby.
That's right. If anybody's looking for a good boxer brief wrap, it's Mark Johnstone, and I'm sure he brought product.
WCBT boxers.
Oh,
As long as it's got the kangaroo pouch.
No, they don't score.
well, the others aren't answering, so I'm assuming that means commando.
No, definitely boxers.
Boxer briefs for sure.
100% briefs.
Yeah.
Gotta hold everything in place.
Oh, brief? Like full-on briefs?
Full on briefs.
Actually, whitey type. Teddy whiteys or what?
Is that like a ginger?
With that aggressive slide, it's got to stay.
Yeah.
Same thing every time. And a pair of briefs and Lululemon dress pants.
Do you have a lucky pair?
To have a lucky pair. No. No.
Does anybody have a lucky
They all
pair?
kind of fit the same.
Back to the superstition side, absolutely.
They all kind of fit the
Do
same.
you really?
Yeah, I got a combo. I got like 4 or 5 different, well, of the same
I go to Winners.
boxer, but yeah, no, it's
Got,
the
like,
same.
Shit on sale. I just
Interesting.
go
Sock color's gotta be the same.
I just buy the same brand. Stick to one brand. It's comfortable.
Any big superstitions you got?
Any big superstitions? I try to buy, when I buy balls, either 2 different colors or one that has a identifying marker, and I'll throw one first on the right lane, one first on the left lane. Just kind of mix it up.
Superstition. I have a ton. I always put my left shoe and my left sock on first before the other ones. Always white socks. If you know you're from Edmonton. White socks all day. Yeah, I'm
While wearing sandals.
I wear socks and sandals. Yeah, I don't have no problem with that. I have no chill. There's a lot of different ones I have, but those are just my couple of the other ones. I don't want to get too much into it because no one cares.
True.
Yeah.
Wow. Don't think so highly of yourself.
I feel like I'm losing superstitions at this point. Yeah, I don't know. Like I've even like stopped resetting pins all the time, and like I'll reset them every once in a while if I feel like it. But hell, my shoelaces have been coming untied all the time lately. I've stopped caring. I literally show up throwing with my shoes untied. I was like, oh well, I guess I'll tie this up after the shot. I'll look down and be like, it's untied. Oh well.
Does it go over the line?
Nope.
It's something I gotta look
Yeah, yeah, I don't know.
Clearly flustered, Wally.
Yeah, you're right. It did. Yeah, no, I feel like I'm kind of losing superstitions at this point, which is I don't know if good or bad or what, but yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I got a question for you guys.
All right.
2 over here. Now that you're not running a tournament, you're bowling at a center that's away from your hometown, away from where you guys work. How do you guys feel about going into tournaments where you're not having to worry about that stuff? You're not having to worry about everything overall.
Way better.
Yeah.
Just going into this event, even today, I'm like, for the first time in a long time, I feel actually like relaxed, like away from everything. So it's nice going into a center where I can actually just focus on throwing my shot and not worrying about everything else going around. I don't know if that's good or bad, because
Seemed to work at TPC.
yeah, no, I'm very conditioned to just bowling distracted because. But then again, I think that's kind of built into my style where I spend 3 seconds thinking about what I'm doing behind the lanes and going up and just throwing. There's no thought process once I get up on the lanes. It's just go, think about like maybe 1 or 2 triggers while I'm going, and that's about it. But yeah, conditioning, being distracted is almost a good thing for me at times, which is why I talk to people nonstop. But yeah, otherwise, I'm good about it.
Yes and no. I'll be honest with you. It's maybe a little bit. It's more unique than anything because we're around other things. We're a little bit more busy and whatnot. But I've always said, even though we really enjoy these events, now it's become more of a second job in a lot of the ways because a lot of us are here. We have our own routines in the mornings. We have everything else like that. So we have to do a little bit more like that. Like Dexter said, a lot of my game is we're used to distractions. I'm used to doing something on the lanes, running back behind the counter, do something over there, and it's a little bit different when you have a little bit more time on your hands. You're not worried about everything else. And I'll be honest with you, like, I love my dear mother a lot, but she stresses me and Dexter out, or at least me a lot, just because when we're bowling, she will ask us, doesn't matter where the hell we are. It's like, okay, I got this problem. I'm on the lane. Like, it's like, but it's like you worry about that a little bit, right?
Well, no, I worry about her in a completely different way.
Yeah.
You're worried about the lane side. I'm worried about her. She works. She's like 64 years old, almost 64 years old.
Yeah.
She's had heart conditions. She's got knee problems. She's got thyroid problems. Like, she's got tons of it. And then she'll put in, like, 15, 16, 17-hour days, and it's a ton of stress on her and her mind and her body. And
So
I worry about her in that aspect. I don't care about her asking me what the lane.
mind you, we have to thank her, like our committee, because they really took a lot.
Yeah.
Because last year wasn't that bad at all. So
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
I'm excited to play it. To be honest with you, I just don't know what I'm going to do with my downtime because I'm not playing all 4 shifts. I swear to God, I'm like Carrie or
Yeah, I wonder what you're gonna do.
Carrie or Derek.
One time. Come on.
John, I got a question for you then. Sorry, do you want some for
Nope.
John, so I saw you practicing last week. You came down to Hamilton. I think it was on Tuesday. You were throwing a lot slower ball, right? And they went into Timmins. You threw really hard. You said to yourself you weren't scoring properly. You came back. You went to Hamilton. You threw some slower balls. Are you going to try that approach this weekend, or are you going to go back to the fireball?
I think the game plan is probably just go with what's worked and just have that as like a backup plan. Kind of
Okay,
play
so-
it as like a secondary line if I need to. If I find myself getting roasted, or just not getting where I need it to go, then maybe give it a shot. The slower shot's still definitely not 100% where I want it to be, with regards to timing and things like that. But I have confidence if I need to go to it that it'll work.
Is there more comfort in one than the other?
Well, I mean, I've been throwing as hard as I can for most of my life, so
Okay,
obviously
fair.
there's going to be more comfort just in the reps there. But even just bringing out the slow shot, I found that it still stayed in the middle for the most part. And that's kind of the key to scoring. Just put it on the side.
So you feel like the harder shot's still going to work probably here.
I think the harder shot will still work, but even if I go to the slower shot, it's still 40, 45 kilometers.
Yeah.
Like, it's not slow by any stretch.
That's my max.
Yeah, I don't even hit 40, so. Adam,
Yes, sir.
you're not playing league this year.
Yeah.
Have you been out practicing since lately? Like, I know in the last couple podcasts they haven't been talking about it as much, but have you been out at all, throwing some games, maybe throwing a short park or body deal? Like, have you gone to different centers? Like, what's your mindset? What's your game plan going in?
No, I definitely get out as much as I can. It's usually, well, unfortunately, the only time you guys have lanes available are Thursday afternoons. So I'll never throw games in a practice session. It really is totally irrelevant to me what the score is when I'm throwing. It has no bearing of what I'm going to do in an actual competition. For me, I try to get a feel. So especially this last month or so has been pretty difficult in my game. So I've been really trying to get that kind of mechanical feel back into it, and I think I did the last session. I figured out, I think, where the issue was. Now it's just a matter of executing. But yeah, no, I get out about once a week.
Speaking of which, then, Adam, we know you had some struggles in the Open. We know you didn't make it. One of the top players in Canada, no doubt. Does that play a role in your mind when you're coming into this next tournament?
It really did the first couple weeks after. I was mad.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not used to that feeling. It's I was waiting for motivation to kick in, and I think motivation finally kicked in about a week and a half ago, just to get back at it. Knowing the game's still there, it's just a matter of changing the mindset. I knew exactly what the issue was. Now it's just a matter of finding what the correction to that issue was. So coming in really confident, really motivated, obviously, to get the train back on the tracks. And I feel good this week.
It's good to hear. Dex, we know you've had some struggles here at Regina in the past. There was some times where you weren't willing to come sometimes even, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So last year you had some success here.
And the year before.
And the year before that, that's right. Now, do you feel like with those last 2 years that you've really, maybe snowballed, or maybe the train's rolling now, you're going to be okay? Do you feel like you did something different as well?
Actually, the biggest thing is, yeah, I feel 100% good to go. The confidence level for executing this weekend is absolutely fine. The biggest struggle that I used to have here was that the approaches were so quick when I first started coming here that actually my right foot wouldn't even stay planted on the lanes. And I ended up switching shoes. 2 years ago, I went to the Storms over the Dynaroos. The Dynaroos I absolutely loved, but the Storms or the Dexters, sister company, the right foot, the rubber is way grippier, and I can actually stay on my feet and I feel comfortable. It's the first time, and actually, I sprained my ankle really bad a couple of years ago too, and it moved me up, and I slowed straight down with my approach, and since then I have complete comfort on the approaches. So that's the biggest thing for me, especially coming here. So pinfall has never been an issue. It's just been getting it.
So it's been a slide for you, more or less.
Yeah, absolutely. I could actually finish my shot and stay aggressive, and that's really important. Which actually kind of comes to question I want for you. When you're going from that high speed to that lower speed, did you notice that it's difficult to finish a shot? Are you still accelerating through the follow through, or do you find you decelerate and lose some of that shot? Or do you know?
With the two, like I have a completely different mindset entirely. I'm just out there hucking. It's get into the pocket, let the pins blow up. Something's gonna happen. And for the most part, it does. It seemed to work for the last few years. It's really found its stride this year. But now taking it down a notch, now I find myself, I gotta finish this. I gotta put rotation on it because I'm not gonna get that bust. And it's like completely different mindset. I find I get away with a lot more with trying to focus on rotation. The margin of error is a lot bigger, and if I don't get the bust, then it's just gonna make us better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there something specific that you're trying to do to slow down? Like, is it the approach? Is it maybe a shorter backswing? Like, what is it?
For now, it's pretty much keeping all the mechanics the same. It's just not so aggressive on the slide coming through. Don't give it all I have. To just keep it in center.
Okay.
For years, people have been saying, you throw so hard, the ball's not going to go anywhere. And the last little bit, the mindset's, well, why don't I just keep it in the middle and don't give it a chance to go anywhere? But now I'm slowing down. If I can kind of get it doing the same thing every time and work on getting that rotation, it's going to end up being a lot better long term because you can't throw 50, 55 your whole life.
Triples we're going into tonight. You guys are all playing, correct?
Yes.
Okay, we're all playing. What is your team tonight, and how do you feel about your team? Like, what maybe led to the team being formed, and how do you guys feel about it? So, Dex, we'll start off with you.
I'm playing with Sam and Dwayne Gilardi. Super excited to play with them. High energy, great people. It was just a message out of nowhere asking if I would be willing to play, and absolutely, yeah.
As somebody that's played with both of them on doubles, they get a little heavy, so you make sure you have a strong back to carry it.
All right, I'm glad I started hitting the gym again. So, gonna be holding up the Gilardis tonight.
Okay, Timmy?
Well, it's a funny story. If you heard back from previous podcasts, Kerry's a little butthurt about this, but Adam decided to take his talents elsewhere.
South Beach.
To South Beach. Yeah.
Hashtag loyalty.
There's no loyalty there. But that being said, you know what? Kerry and I haven't made a cut. We dropped Aaron, and I think it was still a great drop. I mean, Aaron just led weight for us, but at that point. But I love you, Aaron. He's on my open team. But that being said, we have something to prove. We have a little bit of revenge. Apparently,
You've been trying to prove something for like 7 years.
No. We used to be good. Mitch and Greg used to have Taylor on that team. They were talking about having Taylor on that team. So ironically, they ditched Taylor and they picked up Adam. So we picked Taylor up on our team. You know what? Taylor will speak for himself and probably speak for the team. Taylor will be our vocal, and you know what? I think he's a better, more clutch player right now than Adam. So we're okay. Yeah, we're okay.
This is a serious podcast, guys. No more jokes, eh?
Bob Okaj and Mike Herbert, a couple guys from
Ontario boys.
Ontario. Just going out, gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
Throw some balls.
Bob threw a perfect game here
Yeah?
last year.
2 years ago, Bob threw a $15,000 perfect game. So I mean, you're playing with a veteran out there.
Well, that's it, right? And they're gonna lead the way, and I'll just straggle along.
Shit, Mike Herbert was the other one. Sorry.
Herbert, yeah.
Oh, that'll be fun. In all seriousness about Mike Herbert, I think last week he may have found his game. He had been struggling a little bit going into this season, and I think last weekend watching him in Timmins, the aggressiveness of his shot. We all know he throws a really aggressive shot to begin with. But I think he may have found it, and you could be maybe riding the coattails of that tonight. John definitely could be getting you there. Adam?
Well, first of all, did we make money?
We did.
Did we actually make money?
The first year.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
No, us. We didn't make money, so you guys were out.
So Adam, so you're telling me
It's a cutthroat.
you're telling me
game.
it's not about playing with friends; it's about money.
No,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
all
you're
about
right.
money.
Like,
It's
all
all
about
about- you guys are all about loyalty, and yes, I like loyalty too. But no, I like the money side of it.
Yeah, that's fine. You know what? Honestly,
I have a chance to play.
I was good in 2016, maybe 2017. Terry was about the same
Are
time.
you sure?
Yeah, you're on your downturn. You can't even make an open team out of Alberta. So So you know what, Mitch, you're buying low right now. That's what I'm saying. So it's good for you.
I don't know. Quite honestly, I had a chance to play with two people. Number one, they were on my top like 4.
Yeah,
if you guys remember from our previous podcast when we wanted to kind of get like our dream team type thing, right? So I got so much respect for Mitch. I got so much respect for DeGrazia.
Yeah, that's a good team.
Other than his crap performance last week in Timmins, does he not win? It's his own damn own.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't understand, but no, it's plus there's a lot of money potential there too. So those guys are clutch, and I'm hoping they carry my ass. That's pretty much what I'm thinking of. So
I don't blame you. We have a point to prove that. You know what? Wow. 12th place is not so bad too. So
that's fine.
Out of 16, that's not.
You know what? Last year,
That'd be an improvement for
no, we were 14th and then 13th, so 12th looks real good
That's
right now.
exactly what I just
Yeah. So here we go.
6 more years, you're in the money. So there was a question brought up. What advice do you guys can give to the newer players that are coming out on tour to control their nerves?
Yeah, alcohol will help.
Honestly, and I hate to say it, it's experience obviously really does help that aspect. If you're not nervous, I really have a hard time playing because I don't think if you're not nervous, you really don't have the feeling or want to do well, right? In my personal opinion. But I also think pre-shot routine, getting the same routine every time. You watch a lot of the players. I know Adam, we harp on him being so slow, but Adam has a great routine, right? And he has the same thing. Breathing, obviously I breathe through my elbows, apparently to Mitch. So
No, you shoot.
no, you actually said that. Yes. So, but
You breathe out of your elbows?
so anyway,
Do you hear the thing?
No,
Don't worry about what everybody else is doing.
yeah. Honestly, you just play your own game. You know what? Have a beer, relax a little bit.
Use your practice.
You
You
practice.
know, spend your time in your practice to find what's going to work for you, and to find a rhythm and find a routine that's going to work for you. Don't be afraid to spend plenty of time up there trying to find something. So yeah, definitely use that warm-up time. That's your practice time. That's super important because that first ball is going to matter, right? So
Yeah, just come in with the right mindset. Don't expect everything to happen now. Because I think if you start chasing the game, that's when you start pushing yourself further and further behind the game. So yeah, come in with the right mindset. Get positive, get confident, get out there. Get your practice slides in, get comfortable, and then just go play.
The hardest part for me is you look at all these people talking about the cut. I need to shoot 2200. I need to shoot 2190 or whatever. Don't even worry about that. If you can play your game, you'll be able to score. You'll be there at the end of the day.
yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, at the end of the day, you know what? Everybody's going to have a good game. Everybody's going to have a bad game, and you can shoot a 220 or a 210 and like be upset about it, or you can like shoot a 220 or a 210 and come out the next game and shoot a 320 and then be right back on pace. So the scoring is there. you just gotta trust that and come back when if you have a bad game and go from there. But it's 8 games a long time, and things can turn around really quick. We've seen lots of people shoot 1,300 before. Your game could turn around really quick. So just keep trying.
I got a question for you guys then. So TPC started this trend, and now it seems that Regina has now picked it up. How do you guys feel about the 2-shift max maybe choice? So for the listeners that don't know, Regina now picked it up where they were giving you your first 2 shifts until February 10th, and then after that they were implementing you wherever you wanted. So myself, Mitch Davies, had 4 shifts, and I had to pick 2 shifts for my priority, and then I happened to get into the other 2 shifts. So I'm now in for all 4, but they were giving you a priority sequence. How do you guys feel about that? Dex, let's start with you.
I think it's an absolute necessity. We're at the point in at the tour where we're maxing out almost every shift, to the point where even in TPC we added in a 5th shift just to try to accommodate people. The best thing that we have going for all these events is the sheer numbers of individuals that are coming. And with that being said, we need to have space for those individuals, otherwise they will stop coming. So if we want to have the double shifters or the triple shifters, it's hard for people to come out knowing that they only have one opportunity to play, just based on the number of entries that we have. So I think it's really important that we do create space for all these people, because we need the support. And if we don't do that, I don't know if we'll continue to have the support.
Now, Dex, that was your proprietor answer. So let's get your player answer as well. Like, and we're talking serious here.
That's his player.
That's my player.
Same answer.
But the hard part is like I've been so invested in both sides of that for the long
Right,
time
absolutely.
that as a player, I'm totally okay with that too. The more that we could do to promote this game, and the more we could do to get more people involved in the game, is better for the game overall. And that's outside of being a proprietor. That's probably that's probably more of a board member or an association a member sort of answer. But the more that we can get people involved and seeing this side of the game, the better it is for us long term. So I will gladly give up shifts to have more people involved.
I'm gonna let all you guys talk there for a second, and then I'm gonna ask another question about the same topic. Okay.
I think it's a good alternative. Again, like Dexter talks about, we want to make sure everybody has a chance to play a shift. I think us starting the tour 5 years ago, I don't think we would ever think it'd be an issue like this. And it's a great problem to have. That being said, I know Mitch is going to come back and be like, well, my money is just as good as their money. And I know exactly that it is. But you know what? At the end of the day, Mitch puts down 4 shifts, and he's only going to need 2 of them. Right? And then now we have 2 shifts open, right? Mitch is not guaranteed to play $800 worth of shifts. Right? Right? You're probably guaranteed 1, 2 maybe. I've never seen Mitch triple shift before. I know but it doesn't happen often, right?
Yeah, I'll let you finish.
Right, and I think 2 shifts is plenty. Well, not plenty. I mean, if you're some other people, but I think 2 shifts is fair. And then if there's other options out there, if you can add in that extra shift on a Saturday afternoon or a Saturday morning where you want to do all 4, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think next year, obviously with TPC, we're gonna probably do the 5th shift in the morning again. I think that's gonna be a bit bigger. And again, it's not to overflow the entries. It's basically to kind of because we're gonna be 6, 7, 8 hour shifts this weekend. It's just to make those shifts a little bit easier for everybody playing.
So, John, you going into this weekend as your first time or second time at a WCBT event, you're only guaranteed those 2 when you're first walking in. Do you feel like maybe you're hindered or behind the 8 ball a little bit? Like, do you find if you were only to get those 2 shifts in, would it be worth it for you to come? And that's just a serious question.
Yeah, it's still worth it to come, 100%. There's no events like this, and that's where you get the numbers from. These events are just that good. End of the day, you only need 1 shift to qualify. May as well make the best of it.
That's the right attitude to have, for sure.
You need that second shift. You go and you go get aggressive. Don't worry about not having a 3rd shift possibly, because there's those people who signed up for 2, 3 shifts and they're taking a queue. That may not need it as well, right? So there's always the possibility, but the more you throw, the less you leave it to chance. The less you have to leave it to chance.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're correct.
Then it becomes less of an issue. I know it's probably more so an issue for myself than any of the guys here.
That's good
because,
confidence.
I'm out. It's $500 to fly here.
No.
Oh, yeah, no.
We're 1,500 just looking into it.
That's
Right?
Yeah. Everybody in this room is in the same boat, right? Like we all had to pay to get here, and we all had to pay to be here and pay to play.
The difference, I mean, you guys would probably play a third and fourth shifts. Me personally, I have a personal thing. It's like I don't play more than 2 shifts because of pride.
Well,
I don't want to be that person that if I don't have it in 2 shifts, I'm not gonna get it in 3 shifts.
But mine mindset has changed too. I mean, we used to have three shifts only in all the events. Three
Right.
shifts only.
Yeah, we did.
So playing 3 shifts was almost unheard of. And nowadays, like, it's not, because we have 4, we have 5 events, or 5 shifts, that's changed. But I mean, having only 2 shifts guaranteed is, for me, not a big deal, because at the end of the day, that's all we would have ever played before when we only had 3 shifts anyways. Right?
Adam, how do you feel?
I don't know. I got a couple thoughts on it. I got to mirror what these guys are saying. They're in the current atmosphere of the player pool that's out there, the potential to have like maximum shifts at all these. At some point you got to prioritize, because every single one of these players that are making the trip has to have that opportunity to play. Now, the one thing that I could see down the road, and I know obviously the Western Tour is going really good right now. Potential of maybe an Eastern Tour down the road type thing. What happens if all of a sudden we've got the numbers where it's like a 1 shift max, or maybe a 2 shift max? Do we drop it to a single shift? Does it bring additional legitimacy to the event, such as like a PGA Tour event, right?
I don't know. I mean, that would drop our entries by 100.
No, for sure, but
Like that's $20,000.
But to win a title at that level on a single shift, everybody's on a single shift, does it make that title worth a little bit more?
Probably, but it makes it way harder for people to make their money back.
No,
and
1,000%.
And at that point, we lose the tour, because we if people don't have the money or the opportunity to make that money back, they stop coming.
Yeah.
Right. So that gets really tough. But I know that's what Duckpin does, right? Duckpin only has a one shift max, right?
That's correct. When you're playing a pro tour there in DPBA, they only give you 1 chance, and that is the tough part for us as even Southern Ontario players, where we drive 8 hours to go to the closest tournament. They're all 8 or 9 hours. We're only playing 1 shift, and if you don't play well, you don't perform, you go home. Like, you're done. You know what I mean? So
that's where like the 10-pin where you can bowl all 3 days.
The squads.
Yeah.
Now the thing is about Duckpin, and I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound maybe a little bit derogatory, whatever. When you're playing here at the WCBT, you play the talent level that's far above and beyond superior to what you're playing in a Duckpin tournament. Okay, so you see Walt come out. Walt's the best of their players. Okay, they have another 5 Walts. That's about it. And I don't mean this to sound rude or anything like that, but when I go down there to a Duckpin tournament, I've missed 1 cut in 15. Odds are you're going to make it, because the talent level is just not there. When you come to a WCBT event, the talent is the best in the country. So yeah, you do need sometimes 2 shifts. It doesn't matter how good you are.
Mm-hmm.
Now the question I did have to back this one up was, Tim said it pretty perfect, was...
Really?
Yeah, it did actually. It was pretty perfect.
I already knew I talked to him before.
Not only is the question like, how is this person's $200 any better than my $200? Because there is no discount for your second shift. What about those premium? The word I want to use right here is premium. Not players, but premium people, because you guys know as well as anybody else, when someone walks in your door and they're willing to play 4 shifts, and they're going to spend $500 or $600 at your bar, they're going to spend X amount of dollars at your center. You know that person's worth more than maybe that 1 shifter. Maybe that's the wrong way to say it.
No,
maybe that's the wrong way to say it.
You're not going into it. You're not going to teaching masters, bringing your own water bottle in. I don't know. But you get my. I totally get that though, right? I mean,
Yeah.
You're gonna, but you have to be unbiased about the situation, I think, right?
Yeah.
So At the end of the day, you're just another bowler compared to Mark Johnstone, Adam
I
Webber.
can't guarantee that somebody's actually going to do
Well,
that.
could you have a preference built into a WCBT tour membership?
For sure.
You could.
Where
That could be
you
something.
might get priority
Now-
access.
That would make more
Here's-
sense, right?
Go ahead, Tex.
The difference for me, I think, is that you know what we have people that might play 3 or 4 shifts, and we have people that might play 1 shift. But those 3 or 4 shifters may have started out at one point as that one shifter, right? And if we don't allow them to play, then they may not become those people because of bitterness or just the inability to actually get to the events. So I do really think that they should at least get an opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys feel any different than that? Adam, John?
No. I think everybody needs to be able to have the chance for at least one. I like the fact, based on the space and everything that we've got here, I think it's not unreasonable to offer a minimum of 2 shifts per. But beyond that, maybe there could be a shift premium type
It
thing.
wasn't like
Silly-
common when I was up.
No, but-
I mean, like nobody did 3
But
shifts.
it's
But the
silly to
but the
think
store's
about.
on another level.
Well, yeah, I know. So it's okay.
Go ahead, Tex. Go ahead, Tim.
to do 2.
But honestly, back in the day, when everybody talks about back in the day,
Oh
right?
yeah, I hate that.
The biggest center we play on tour is 20 lanes, right? We used to play a 48 lane center for Rose Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
KG was bigger, right?
What was Kichi?
20,
36,
24,
32.
30,
Oh,
Actually, we talked about this.
Right,
It
right,
was
and then-
only
and then-
24.
and then 24, and then you had Chinook that was
32.
32, right? I mean, you got playing bigger centers.
Mhm.
If we're playing in bigger centers, then this wouldn't be an
It's
issue.
not an issue.
But I mean, it's fair to like a 60 lane center like Gold Mile and us who have huge entries. And hey, guys, you know what? We're too big for you. We're gonna move on. Like it's a tough thing, right? It's like how do you figure it
Well,
out?
this
right?
is it, Tim. And
Yeah.
every league bowler that you have, you guys know these stats, okay? Every league bowler you have is basically worth $500 to your center per year, right?
No, we gouge them, so it's a little bit more.
Right. I
E5 gouges them.
That's
because
right.
100% membership would pay for all
That's
those.
right. Why would we ever call another association? Anyways,
Thanks, board member.
every person that you're able to get at one of these WCBT events, if you're talking 160 different people, that player pool might be worth $60 a person.
Yeah.
Talking lineage, talking pops, drinks, food, whatever. So every person you can get into your center as a
Right.
proprietor is definitely beneficial to you. As far as the WCBT goes with maybe our shift premium, I think we run into an issue there where Kerry doesn't run these centers. And Kerry's the president, sorry, just to bring that up again. Kerry's the president. He doesn't run these centers. He doesn't really have the input that could be said to those centers, right?
Yeah.
About shift premiums. They're gonna pick up the players where I was going with that. They're gonna pick up the players amount that they can get.
Yeah,
Right.
Mitch, we're the only this is the problem with 5-pin bowling in general.
Mhm.
We're one of the few sports that are not using public facilities, it's private facilities, and it's run by dollars and cents. It's not run by the sport, right?
Mhm.
So we're always going to have that issue. But I always said this from the beginning when we took over TPC from Collingwood, and it was nothing against Collingwood. We had the drive, Mark, and everybody else wanted to make it really good. We looked at the dollars and cents. It was $3 a line, and I was like, well, how do we make this better? Well, we better be doing our work on our end to promote it to our bowlers, because at the end of the day, if we want to make that money, we're not sitting back and bitching and complaining about it, right? Nowadays, you walk in, everybody's sticking around because they're playing doubles, triple, quad shifting, food, drinks, everything. We're making money way better than we used to. We're actually making weekend profit off it,
Yeah.
you would say, want to say on it. And we're happy with it, right? But it goes both ways, right?
Friday was
I know our seniors, and all our league bowlers. We have the YBC, not YBC, the WCBT mixer on all our monitors, and they love it. They are like, hey, are you guys bowling? So they come on TPC and they watch, right? It's about building a brand in our center that love this event, right? So I think when we host the tour finals, I hope to have a lot more people there, just because I think we have the excitement on it, right? And I think so buy tickets from us, guys. We want you there. Don't get cheap.
I feel like this is a pardon the interruption moment, but Doug Clark just chimed in. KG was 24 lanes, so you guys are just aware.
That's the error. That's the error section right there.
It's because he's old.
No, there's no way that he actually remembers.
And we'll just do a plug really quick. We'll continue with the podcast. We're not going to cut it off. We'll continue talking until we run out of topics. But the WCBT is live streaming, so people that want to watch, you can just go to wcbtour.ca, catch the live streams there. And the Regina Classic does have, I do believe, 6 sets running on their website, which you can find through wcbtour.ca or on the Golden Mile website. Unfortunately, I don't know the website.
GoldenMileBowling.com.
Under the tournament section.
Yeah, under the tournament
Yeah,
section.
for sure. And they have the live streams already set up, so you can click in when the bowling starts. It does start tonight. You can watch trios, or first qualifying shift is at 8:30 in the morning, I do believe.
Super slick too, right? They even have the
That
Cubica
scoring
live
system.
scoring on there, so you can watch one of the live feed and one of the live scoring. So.
And Doug is showing a little upset that you guys are calling him old, and he doesn't remember anything.
Well, he's almost, look at him, he's gray haired, almost 50. Right?
Was he cooking breakfast Saturday?
I don't even know he's going to last 7 games tonight.
That hockey game right here.
You have any more?
Yeah, I do. I'm great at this.
What aren't you great at? I
Relationship.
Anyways, okay, you guys tried to give me your dark horse on making the cut. Now you can't pick anybody in this room, but let's give me your pick on winning the tournament. Adam, we'll start at you. I know you would love to pick yourself, and I know you'd love to pick Julie over here, but let's go with someone that's maybe not in this room that you would think that could have a great opportunity.
Oh boy. Well, I think the obvious, who's most definitely not a dark horse, is Brad Mullins.
Yeah, no dark horses. It's just who you think has got a good chance.
The guy's so good, especially at this centers with the atmosphere. He's so good. I could also see the potential of Kevin Clark.
Okay.
Well. I think he's due for a run here as well, and this is the center to do it.
2 hometown guys. One's also won the event before. Kevin's definitely gone deep multiple times.
Runner up. Yeah.
Runner up, that's correct. John, I know you don't know a lot of people here, but you could definitely tell me someone that you maybe know or someone from the crew that's coming in here. Give me your thoughts.
I don't know. I like Taylor Michelle.
Taylor Michelle.
I think there was a good shot. There was a lot of velocity. I'm hoping that if he plays well, because if he plays well, that probably means the power shot plays well, and that means good things for me.
Taylor's definitely one of the top players from the east side, from Thunder Bay. Timmy?
Honestly, and it's no jokes, I think Dwayne Gilardi breaks through. It's about time he breaks through. He's
getting close.
He's a workhorse, right? He'll keep plugging along. He has a good mindset, I think, and we know for a fact that Manitoba's going to bring out all their fans this weekend. So
that's usually every year.
so he's going to have the rooting and the cheering and the support. So
I think the biggest asset is his confidence right now. Like
well,
every event.
Dwayne honestly is one of the strongest things. Not being rude, he's always been a confident guy, right?
Yeah,
and I think he believes in himself, and I think it's about time he breaks through. I think honestly,
I know that they just had their new revised open. Did he play, guys? I don't know. I didn't look at the scores. How did he do?
I made men's team. Yeah.
Along with the other 5 guys.
Okay, John. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So he did really well. He still made the team. Okay. Is that your only pick? Maybe you got another one there, Tim.
Well, honestly, he's on my fantasy team.
Okay.
But Matt Harms too. Matt throws a lot of strikes.
Yeah, I just don't know.
And if he's running hot, I think Matt can have a chance too.
Yeah,
right? Runner up to tour finals. Like you just never know with him, right? And I've seen
He went through a lot of guys.
yeah.
Dex?
I definitely agree with Brad Mullins. Really, really hard to discount him.
It's his fantasy team.
It is also my fantasy team.
I've seen
Greg
the rest
lost his own open.
Yeah, true.
I'm gonna say like Matt Taransky.
Matt Taransky definitely making his return. I think he hasn't been here in 2 or 3 seasons.
Man,
2 seasons for sure.
It's been a while. I haven't seen him at many of the cash tournaments at all in the last 2 years. So,
At one point, I
he's
do believe
unbelievable.
3 years ago, he was the top qualifier here at Regina, actually.
Yeah.
And multiple times he's been in the top 5 for qualifying. So he's definitely a player from Winnipeg who can get it done.
Yeah.
I gotta go Doug Clark. You guys are crazy, man. That guy's gonna win this eventually.
Just because you know he's listening.
No, I always buy him. I always take him.
He's my idol.
I always take him.
Rattling off my
I always-
fantasy team here. Yeah, but you know what?
Smile on your face.
Dougie makes a good breakfast like 5 a.m. in the morning on Sunday at the
Red
Red
Bulls and vodka.
Since we're picking, my pick is Michael Wist. If we're picking for
Ooh,
Saskatchewan,
Stallion.
I really think he is so close. It's bound to happen.
He's such a he's a stud when it comes to that.
Stallion. Oh wow.
Gall, you're in.
Oh, Aaron. You know what? I know Mitch has some talk, but I think Adam has something he wants to bring up.
Yeah, well,
Definitely lost.
I was going to bring this up for the 50th podcast, but I think, I don't know, I think this could be a good one just with a nice group of people here. I was going to do like the big 50th podcast awards. So basically just like, past guests and some of the topics that we discussed and all that stuff. But I wanted to get your kind of, your guests on it here. And unfortunately, I got to wait for Dex to come back because he's out for a pee right now.
Just keeping the seat
So,
warm.
any other questions coming in?
No, not really. Everything's
I saw
Going good.
JB put one out there for.
Gold Mile Bowling.
I think he was asking something to the effect of why we think Regina scores so big, or why the perception of the scoring is so big.
For sure, it is.
it is.
All right, John.
Ace
So,
the size of Tim's dick.
thank you. I honestly think it's just because we talked about it before. I think we related to it a little bit. Was sheer number of people that are qualified bowlers, right? So I think that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
With a lot of people, good bowlers and all that.
Obviously, like they've instituted the black bases. I think they really take care. Their conditioning of the lanes is uniform across every single lane too, right? They use a machine to oil. So going from set to set, you don't see a big difference between the shots. So it's a lot more consistent. That's a lot I think has to deal with their improved scoring for sure.
They're pretty. Donnie's done a good job.
Yes, 100%.
I mean, I think that like the maintenance people do is underrated. Like you look at the centers that are well known for high scoring, like Sherwood's big, Elmire's big. Obviously, people like Goulet's averaging like 3,000 there somehow.
I heard approaches are heavy though. That's what Mitch was telling me.
Yeah, but it's you look at proprietors. You look at proprietors that are like very knowledgeable of the machines and like of the mechanics, and, like
Yes.
how Jeff Young talked about the pins and like you can do things to kind of change it around. It's just like the amount of care in the center is like goes a long way, and like we're talking about people that are going to win this, and a lot of those people are like involved in the center directly, so they're the people that like want to see the center do well, like look clean, be nice,
A lot
like
of pride there, right?
yeah, for sure. And I think that goes like really far with the maintenance. I think that's really undervalued. Centers like that, like obviously the Wiseman's doing well at TPC. Like people come out and they're like, the center's great, the scoring's really well. Like if I can play well there, that says a lot.
That's all Dex. Dex does a great job there.
Right before you do your 50th podcast questions, Adam, since we're at Regina, what is your favorite part about the tournament? Maybe it's the broken rack. Maybe it's the food that they maybe supply at the lanes. Maybe it's the sock bowling. What is your favorite part about Regina? Derek, we'll start with you.
For sure, just the atmosphere. Like this used to be like the big one. Obviously, TPC's like made up a lot of ground since the transition from Collingwood, but like when you make the cut here and there's like so many people here watching, like it's so different. Like you know who's bought you in Calcutta because there's like
Okay, you can't say
there's like 8 people behind you. I've made a couple deep runs in the past, and
You
like
like-
falsified people.
Five Pin Universe doesn't condone any
You
betting on sports.
Okay, we're moving on.
Thank you very much.
People are saying they turn around on shots and stuff like that. You know, it gets you fired up too. You know, it's just a crazy atmosphere. Like everybody's always in such good spirits here. The staff are so friendly. It's just a good time. It's so much fun being here.
Okay, Timmy.
Yeah, so we talk about this all the time. Honestly, I don't know. You know what? It's probably the people. I enjoy seeing a lot of people. I enjoy the Broken Rack coming up afterwards on Sunday and somebody buying me food or drinks afterwards.
When they win.
When they win, not me.
Yeah.
You know what? It's and again maybe because we're not doing anything working wise on it. It's a little bit of a vacation for me. Bowling has to be a little bit better for me. So, yeah.
Adam.
For me, there's two big things. I know every time I come here, it just feels like they want to make it feel like it's like home,
Mhm.
right? The staff's always super courteous, and the atmosphere is just absolutely incredible. And one thing I remember Kerry mentioned on one of our previous podcasts as well is it's one of those tournaments where I think since we travel, right? So since we actually travel, right? You come to this type of event, and all of a sudden, everybody just they intermingle a little bit more. So I think the friendships and all that stuff kind of blossom at this one. And quite honestly, you know what this cut's going to be, and if you can make this cut, you know you've done well.
John, what are you looking most forward to about maybe this tournament? And I'm not just talking about the scoring. Maybe it has to do with all the stories you maybe heard.
I guess the thing I'm most looking forward to is I think a couple of guys mentioned here. It's different. It's a different event than the other ones. I mean, got to experience TPC for the first time, and that was just that much different than playing out in Ontario. And now to hear that this one just it's a different atmosphere. It's a little bit bigger, a little bit more camaraderie. It's exciting to see, and looking forward to it.
It'll be interesting to hear your thoughts maybe in the comparison when you're done this one maybe to back home or TPC, the club tour or TPC. Adam, go ahead with your questions.
All right, so now Dex is back. Took him a while.
I kept your seat warm.
Yeah.
Hi, Derek. 5 minutes of fame there, bro.
Seat over. You'll never see me on this ever again.
Yeah, you screwed up. It's okay.
All right, so so we're gonna do like the 50th podcast, which was supposed to be in Regina. Had some technical difficulties a few weeks ago, so we got delayed a week. But I wanted to kind of go through a couple of categories and kind of get everybody's take on, at least those who actually listen to this podcast. Certain things like who's your vote for the best guest that we've had on the podcast?
And we went around to Kerry and talk about this too.
Sure.
Okay. Or I'll go around the room. I will go first.
You're in the middle.
Sorry.
You're not around.
Yeah, John, these questions aren't for you
Okay.
at all.
I'm torn. Okay, as a bowling wise, I thought Brad Wilton spoke really well and he was great on podcast. But like a nerdy bowling proprietor side, I thought Jeff England was awesome, or Jeff Young. They were really good with their insights on different parts of the aspect of the game.
I definitely agree with all of those, and I want to add in Mitch. There's a reason why Mitch has been on multiple times. Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
His Patreon.
He just speaks surprisingly well, and as you can see today, so he knows the game. He's super passionate about the game, knowledgeable about the game, and yeah, he speaks surprisingly well. So I'm gonna say Mitch.
I'm not gonna duplicate any names, but this is one that nobody will ever hear. But Shane Chafe was fantastic.
No, I don't know who Shane is.
Was he on the podcast?
Not apparently anymore.
All right, well, let's go to the next one. Most times ducking the podcast.
Ooh, Shane Chafe.
Followed closely by Jen Baker.
Jen Baker, that took forever to get her on.
Yeah.
It's gotta go with the worst podcast though ever. Eh?
Oh no, that's
Well,
It's like an awkward tension.
Just so people know, Jen Baker's is still the most listened to podcast that we have. So.
Oh wow, she listened to it 12 times, eh?
Repeat it. It's time for the money.
Repeat all those long drives to here.
Yeah, no, honestly, Shane's been a jerk. He actually called me at work on Monday, and he said, "Yeah, screw you guys." So it was a great time.
So, and to throw one of my other names on the best guest side, and probably one of the ones that were listened to the most as well as Tracy Smith,
No, Tracy,
Absolutely.
yeah.
which
no
was
question,
absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Most informative guest. Who did we learn the most out of?
Well, it's either one of the Jeffs, I think, right? I think either
Yeah.
England or Young, right?
We've had 49 podcasts. Let's go, step it up.
I think honestly, I could listen
Give
to
me a
Jeff.
walk
I could listen to Jeff England all day about bowling and business of bowling and how things work. I know we were talking in the other room when we came in or on the flight. Adam was thoroughly impressed with Jeff and how smart he is and how brilliant he is with stuff. So.
Yeah, I hadn't spoken with him very often before that, and I came away from that podcast, and my mind was absolutely blown with some of the things that number one Nebs, and then obviously what his direct
And Tom
involvement into that. Just some of the computer side of it, and it just absolutely blown away. Jeff Young as well.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah, those two for sure, without question.
Our drunkest guest.
Oh, Bobby Kite. But Bobby got so nervous for this podcast. He pounded 7 beers before he got on, within like a half hour. So not only was he the drunkest guest we've had, he was also the gassiest.
Thanks for
Without
being less than Bobby.
He was good though.
He was great, yeah.
Yeah. Great looking guy too.
Yeah. He's a solid 8.5.
The podcast guest that we had kind of the most fangirl moments on.
Bruce.
Yeah. Bruce, definitely Bruce.
Man, oh man, Bruce.
Yeah.
Just
Hard not to, though.
living in the past with that guy, right? So,
No, well, not in the past. I swear to God, if that guy picked up a ball and started throwing it again like 4 days, like,
our memories.
Oh, yeah. But like, yeah, no, that guy.
He'd pick it up in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Thank God he lives in Central now.
Yeah.
He'll know where
He actually gets all his mail sent to my condo, so you're all set.
The most embarrassing moment.
Oh. The time that
I got
Tim
one.
said that he gets all his energy down to his elbows.
Yeah. That was
He
good.
releases the energy.
But today he did say that he breathes through his
breathes
elbows.
Might be the new most
Yeah, anything I say.
How about the time you called my ex-girlfriend on this podcast?
It may also be the last live broadcast, as we had a special guest pop out of nowhere with some derogatory terms.
Yeah.
The lighting wasn't that great that day.
Might have sent him to the wrong room. Most controversial topic.
Oh, Tim's balls.
Yeah.
For the WCBT finals.
Definitely Tim's balls.
I still have a problem with it. He never weighed anybody else's.
No, and you know what? He didn't weigh yours.
He did weigh mine.
You weighed yours.
No, he weighed mine. He brought
You
it.
weighed yours before we even got there. You were like, you threw a hissy fit at work, you stormed over, you weighed your bowling balls because you were being a little bitch about it.
It's absolute garbage. Oh, actually that, and I think there was one, we talked about women in bowling.
There
or
was
something
one
like
earlier.
that. Women in bowling, I think, something like that.
There's one earlier.
And
It wasn't women in bowling. There was some.
Women playing cash tournaments.
women's playing.
No,
No.
we were talking about like
Amber
the transgender, transfluid, right?
I'm just glad we,
Yeah.
we stopped talking about that stuff.
No, but unfortunately, I don't know enough about it to
Yeah.
offer.
Yeah.
Oh, and don't forget about shields.
Shields.
We can't talk about shields.
Yeah.
We had to edit because Tim got mad.
So everything revolves around Tim? Is what we're
Yeah,
saying?
pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like Don Cherry, you people, I tell you.
There was definitely a moment it was women in bowling and the cash tournament side of it.
Yes, I remember that because I think I think this lovely guy just threw it on us and didn't talk to us beforehand. So I kind of blew up.
Hey, but that's what this podcast is about. It's all
Yeah,
it's all what we're doing.
Controversy.
But no, actually, no, honestly, it was Amber, and we love Amber more than Mitch. So.
It was a good topic.
He's just pure fire.
Was there any like controversial rules?
Yeah.
That you
He's
remember?
definitely
No, the shields, for sure.
Shields is the biggest
The
one.
shield's part of it.
What about the leading pins?
I don't know how controversial that
Yeah.
was.
Definitely.
The shield.
I know getting Carey was definitely involved in that. He had some pretty opinionated discussions on like leading pins.
Oh yes, yeah. Obviously, if you listen to the podcast, I have a distinguished opinion on the corner pin. It has to be down.
Yeah. No, there's things in the works. So.
All right, last one I had. Who's the most disappointing guest?
Oh. Greg DeGrazia,
Oh God.
without question.
1000%.
This guy harassed us. He verbally assaulted us at a national event.
So
Verbally assaulted us, throwing multiple podcast guests ahead of him under the bus, saying, "How could you have so and so on this podcast before
That's
me?"
your mother. That's your teacher.
And so we have Greg DeGrazia on the podcast, and the guy says 4 words the entire time. And all of those words were the special guest questions. So, yes.
he was forced into him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I rock more personality than Greg. So.
Wow. Wow. Hit him always down, eh?
Look at that viewer count go up.
Hey, so speaking of special guest questions, we should ask Jonathan.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Carey,
Sure.
you're in.
Special guest
Who
question.
is your
Very
mentor?
has his arsenal.
Who was your mentor growing up?
Never really had any. I mean, the area I came in through wasn't really much helping the youth bowlers. I got kind of lucky. I got thrown into a pro league at Nebs just by being there. My brother had signed up and someone quit on his team. And Ian McLean had helped me work on a couple things, really fine-tune my game a little bit. So that was really helpful. I guess you'd be the closest thing to a mentor that I
Must have a slow closing at home.
No, for sure. So, what's your favorite tournament?
I definitely don't have as much experience with all these tournaments as you guys do. Club tours are always a good time in Ontario. But so far, I mean, there's been nothing even close to TPC. Like it was just that much more camaraderie. You look at every lane, and there's at least 1, 2 guys who have 850 plus for the last 3, and it pushes you to be just that much better.
Yeah, for sure. So, do you have a favorite match or the toughest match you've ever played?
Oh, toughest match I've ever played was Goulet at Elmira, where he goes head pin, 21 in a row head pin. And I threw 606 for 2 and lost by 200. And after about the 16th or 17th one, all he had to say was, "Well, you know how it goes sometimes." Every time I see him in that building, I get a little bit of PTSD.
That might be the best answer I've had yet.
Yes, that is very fair.
It's not even close.
Wow.
Like your scores.
Well,
Well, you know how it goes sometimes.
From what 5-Pin Universe is doing, the WCBT, what else do you see that could be improved in the sport?
Definitely just finding a way to get like the younger generation to have that passion that a lot of the guys in this room have. Maybe at least from what I see in the YBCs around where I'm from, they just kind of go and socialize and that's it. There's no real aspiration to just to be great at the sport, and to get that kind of motivation in some of the youth would be kind of fun to see. Just have people coming out in their free time, after school, after whatever, going to throw a few games of practice, just trying to be that little bit better. So when it comes to the next tournament, they're competitive, or when they get to that 16, 17, 18, they want to start playing the cash tournaments and get to see some of these guys and all the hard work they put in.
Yep, sure. I know Adam added this question to the special guest the last few podcasts. If you were to pick anybody in the history of 5-pin bowling, now, current, or in the past, who would it be to play against?
I feel like I'd love to play Fraser Hamley in his prime.
That is a very solid answer.
Common theme for
Yeah.
Ontario especially, right? Makes sense.
Yeah.
100%.
Definitely one of the greats in the sport. Yeah, exactly. That's a great pick. You guys have any more questions?
Well, did you want to bring up the Patreon stuff?
Yeah, we'll just talk about it a little bit. So, if people don't know, the listeners, obviously to run this podcast costs a little bit of money to upload to the SoundCloud, so you guys can hear this every week. And there is some cost associated with us being able to do it from so many different locations. So if you're willing to, there is a low tier fee of $2 a month if you want to help support it at patreon.com 5pinuniverse. Or any other way you want to help out by maybe purchasing shirts, we have on teespring.com. You can find that at 5pinuniverse.ca. Or any suggestions that you have to help us out with costs that we're not thinking of.
Yeah, and so just to be completely honest with everybody, the podcast is currently running in a deficit, and like it's not a major deficit, but all that funds is coming out of Carrie's pocket at the moment, and we're not looking to make money off of this at all. The whole sole purpose of doing this was to create media and a bigger awareness and a sense of camaraderie around the country, and maybe just get thoughts from people from around the country. On different topics and just further the thought process of the game. And at the same time, the other side of it was too is we were hoping to at some point generate funds to get production to do like all sorts of different like training videos and different ideas on like pin splashes and bowling balls and just the technical side of the game. And we want to do videos and stuff like that too. But all that requires funds. And currently we are running in a deficit, and we love doing this, but running in a deficit doesn't make much sense. And especially for Carrie, who's fronting up all these funds. So the podcast does have the Patreon. There is a low cost one. It's $2 a person. I know we have hundreds of listeners out there. The cost of it isn't much for this to run. So any help that you guys can do to help the cost and eliminate the deficit is honestly greatly appreciated.
So, Carrie, how many people approximately do we have each week listen, like on average?
On average, within the week, it's over 200 listeners. But there's some stragglers that listen to podcasts, right?
So, I guess at the beginning, us four never thought it'd be even 200 people would listen to us garble, right?
We thought this would last like a week and a half.
So for only $2 a month, guys, $2 a month.
Sound like World Vision.
Yeah. You can grow this into a great podcast.
Little starving child.
Just sort of carrying around pictures of Tim.
Email, not from a Facebook account, right? So you can use your
Yeah, and that's one thing, people, if you decide to subscribe to the Patreon account, it comes directly to your email. You don't have to wait for it to pop on Facebook. And we are looking at maybe we will be just doing a preview on Facebook in the future. We're hoping it doesn't come to that. But if it does, it'll be like a 10-minute segment, and the rest of the podcast will be through Patreon only. But like I said, if we do get our subscribers and things get out of the deficit, that definitely won't be the option. But it is something we're definitely looking at. But we just want to thank everybody for listening.
Thank you, Doug.
Being a part of the live podcast, our second one ever. I'd like to thank all the people that sat down, had their 2 cents added to this. Thank you very much. This wouldn't be possible without any of you guys either. So
thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much, everybody. Looking forward to seeing everybody this weekend.